The federal government is pressing ahead with digital ID, national digital ID, which they say will be a one-stop shop for all your interactions with government systems. You know, all your data is just held in one place. So if you need to talk to Medicare or you need to talk to Centrelink or whatever the hell they're called these days, there's one system you will be able to use for everything, and it will also be expanded out to use with private businesses. So, for instance, you don't have to provide your licence number or whatever it might be to a bank and all this sort of thing, right? It will all be kept in one place. Now, what could possibly go wrong when you keep all personal data about someone in one place where, of course, if you hack the system, you literally have access to everyone's data, and not only is it being held centrally, it's being held by the government. So why would outfits that, you know, are attached to the government, let's say the police or let's say councils that issue you fines, would they not have some interest in potentially getting hold of that data for their own purposes? Well, LNP Senator Gerard Rennick asked exactly this question of a panel of experts, and guess what they had to say?
So what you're saying is that under this legislation, police don't need a warrant to access?
That's correct.
Right, OK, well.
Yeah, so with regard to biometric data, there is a requirement for a warrant, but it doesn't specify that that's for a serious crime. But also police can access all other kinds of personal data in the bill in general when there has a proceeding has been started. And I should add also that it's not just police that can have that access in terms of the general access to personal information. It includes enforcement bodies generally. So that includes bodies that can issue civil penalties.
Enforcement bodies, not just the police. Now, don't forget, remember back during COVID when you had to go and sign in with a QR code to go and have a coffee or a pint at the pub. And, of course, when you had that pint at the pub, you had to sit down because if you stood up, you were definitely going to get COVID if you stood at the bar. And we were told that all this data that was being collected by the government, where you'd been, when you'd been, etc., there was no risk of this ever being used by anyone else for any nefarious purpose. But, of course, we know that the coppers were applying to get a hold of this data. In WA in particular, they were using it for assault cases, you know, people getting knocked in the head outside of a nightclub on a Saturday night, and the first thing they do is run to the state government to ask for the COVID data because, of course, it tells them where everyone has been. Can we not see where this is going? Of course, like if you've got a parking fine, what we're talking about here is that the council could go and ask for all your personal information, all of it, and come knocking with the debt collector and take your car away or whatever the hell they're going to do. Like anyone from an enforcement agency. Incredible.
Yeah, we can all see where this is going. Thank God for Senator Rennick, and we've said it a few times on this program, but we've got someone in the Senate who's asking the questions that should be asked, and who knows whether this is an oversight in those who have created the legislation or whether it's deliberate. But, I mean, we've seen this government, when it comes to immigration, I mean, they just can't get anything right. Do you really trust this government on legislation this big and this impacting to make sure it's rock solid? We're told when it comes to immigration, public safety is our number one concern, even as we see more and more stuff-ups in that regard. So would you really believe them when they say, no, this thing, digital ID, it'll be watertight, your privacy will be preserved? Why would anyone in their right mind take the government's word for that?
We need to take a machine gun to this bill. We do not need digital ID. We're doing fine right now. The only body that benefits from digital ID is the government. Track and trace, they will know your every move, more detailed than they already do. It is nefarious purposes through and through, and nobody can tell us why exactly do we need this?